somebody wanted to get in the shot because I was gonna try to sing the theme song, The Sisters. Them boys mess around. My girls hold me down. My love life is a mess. We're going because I'm looking for love. How you doing? And on Mother Women, Wendy, and welcome back to my channel, Country Conversations with DVD. I will be now discussing finally, the new episode of Sisters. This is going to be season 6, episode 12. Let's get right into it. Okay, Karen and Zach and Fatima are all in the office. And it just so happens that Andy is, coming out from her office into the hallway. So, just like I thought, I hoped, she didn't bang Fatima. She was dreaming. Now, like I said, Tyler Perry would have had some explaining to do, Lucy, if she had passed away or had been in the hospital and was perfectly fine over there on Fatima. Now, Karen tells Fatima that she was real brave for walking in her fucking house. And it is impossible to reason with Karen these days, and I don't know what little situation she has going on where, they writing that for her to be that way. But anyway, Fatima tried to talk sense into her and she apologizes. And Karen said, you only being nice to keep me out. You only being nice to keep me out your pockets, Zach. Because I'm going to get everything that I'm supposed to get. Okay. And that's why you only choosing to be nice. You see me at the lawyer's office. Okay, well then Pam and Aaron arrive because they overhear her threatening to pow Fatima. And they think they're going to save Fatima from something. You think Fatima definitely did not look worried, okay? And then Pam is told to leave, and that leaves Aaron and Andy to talk. And what are they talking about? Again, the baby. And Aaron says that he has a friend that kind of lost her mind when she was having a baby too. So he thinks that might be what's wrong with it. And then Andy tells him that it's different. And he says, well, being that we are having this baby. And she said, we? Yeah, I'm the father. How do you know? I saw the results. You saw the results? Yes. What? Now, mind you, she just had showed the paperwork to Fatima and Zach. And Zach left thinking that he's the father. So here we go. Again, in Tyler Perry land, trying to figure out who's the father to Karen's flat stomach baby. Yes, that's right. It is now season 6, and Cameron's stomach is still flat as a board. She should be on that show on TLC. I didn't know I was pregnant. Next, Sabrina and Kelvin are at the police station, and Kelvin is so worried about Maurice, and he thinks that the lawyer is not going to show up. And then Sabrina, with her confident and naive self, goes on to tell him, I think he's coming. And Kelvin says, no, because I think your friend is the African. I believe he's homophobic. Maurice thinks he's homophobic as well. And she's like, well, I don't believe that. And he is. I mean, it's kind of clear, but, that's kind of like a running stereotype for Africans that they may be homophobic. But I hate that because it's just a fact. And you look at history and you can say it's unnatural and you can say all these types of things about homosexuality, but it is what it is. People have been gay since the beginning of time. I don't know what's up with these people who think that homosexuality is something that came out in the 30s and 40s. When I say the beginning of time, I mean the beginning of time. Well, the DA is grilling Maurice, and Maurice is sitting there talking about, yeah. It was me and what his name? The Quincy. You know, we came up with this elaborate scheme to, rob a bank, and Sabrina had nothing to do with it. And the text said, "This is a crock of shit. You're lying." And you could tell he's lying. Well, my thing is, why is Logan so determined to prove that they are lying when it's clear that they are lying? If he was any kind of detective worth his weight in gold, he could see that they're lying as well. And he was like, "Look, man, your case is weak. You're just trying to get cheap." He said, "No. I got the evidence. I can prove that they're guilty." And then he's like, "Well, prove it, man, and make a strong case in this, because if they have a good lawyer, they'll poke holes all into this case." And he was like, "Well, you better call Quincy." And then he's like, "I'm going to call Quincy to see what he has to say." Well, you know what Quincy has to say? Quincy's going to tell the same story that he told before. How many seasons? I want you to tell me. Please tell me in the comments. I know you watch my videos and you love my videos about Zatima, so I'm assuming you're going to love my videos about sisters. But you're not coming. I need feedback, people. I want to know, is there anybody else out there like me who want them to hurry up and wrap up this bribery case? Anyway, Anna tells Danny about what's going on at the office. She calls her and tells her that Karen has snapped. And then Danny's like, "Well, you know, that bitch crazy. You know, what kind of pregnancy she got going on?" And then Anna says that it's more than the pregnancy. So she wants, again, to meet up to discuss Karen and her craziness dealing with Zach and Fatima. Oh, by the way, Karen pushes Andy once again to make a choice between she and Fatima. And I definitely understand why Fatima I understand why Andy does not want to choose, because new friendships that you develop and you feel a strong bond with a new friendship, even though you have an old friendship in the past and you've been friends since college, that doesn't mean that you don't love the new friend that you have developed a friendship with, because it is clear to me that Fatima loves her some Andy, and Andy loves Fatima. And I don't even like the way this is playing out, where she's telling her to choose because she doesn't think that Andy can be objective. And so far, Andy has been objective. But Karen can't see that because she has flat stomach pregnancy brain. Back at the precinct, we're with Maurice and Calvin and Sabrina. And Sabrina's like, "What happened? Are you going to jail?" He said, "No." He said, "They don't believe me." He said, "I think I'm going to go free." Then he says, "Where's the lawyer?" And she says, I don't know. He didn't come." And then he's like, "Why didn't he show up?" He says, "Sabrina accepted your friend bio is homophobic. And he had no intentions of sending that lawyer to help me." And then Logan comes out. Ugh, looking like a little small idiot. I mean, he shocked. And he says, "I'm going to get you. I'm going to get both of you. I'm going to get Quincy in here. He's going to tell the truth." Now, mind you, he just got through interrogating Maurice. And even though lie detectors are not admissible in court, you can look at this man and tell that he don't have a clue what's going on. And him trying to push this case and trying to become chief is looking ridiculous. And it makes it seem like that this is an ongoing thing that's going in a circle that could have been wrapped up 2 seasons ago. Let Sabrina go back to the empty bank that they don't ever have customers in. And only dialogue is between Maurice and Sabrina. And the girls didn't know Maurice, which it seems so ridiculous how close Sabrina is to the other girls, and they are just now meeting Maurice. Foolishness. Anyway, Gary's over there at the office. We're back at Andy's firm. And Gary's over there at the office, and he's talking to Hayden. And Hayden says, we need to wrap up this tax stuff. Well, Gary's telling him we need to wrap up this tax stuff. And Hayden is trying to help him with tax stuff, but Hayden is in another world. And he's like, man, what's wrong with you? And he's like, oh, well, it's about that. It's about that girl, ain't it? Man, you need to wrap this up and get that doggone annulment. And he was like, well, I was really lonely. Hayden said, admits it. But he never admits that he was square and cornered, the reason why he don't get women. He says he's a player. But you in love with that little lady that's trying to convince you to stay married for 6 months so she can still get half. And then Gary tells him, man, you being played. Well, Gary, where's your wife? Where is Jasmine? Is Jasmine in jail? Is he divorced himself while he talking? So he walks out the office and leaves Hayden in his thoughts about, what's her name, Miranda, Mandy, something. The girl that's trying to scam him, that's paid by Fatima, but she's gone too far with the scam. Anyway, Gary's little bitch ass, he leaves and he goes in there and talks to Andy. And then he's like, well, some of my friends have been telling me that you're on a dating site. She said, yes, I am. And he says, well, that dating site is not that safe. And she says, oh, yeah. He said, well, my friend, there's a lot of fraud on there. She was like, yeah, well, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to continue to date from that dating site. And he says, but you okay with, dating all these strange men? And you're like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, okay, fine with me. Like that. And knock. Fatima knocks on the door and she's like, what are you doing in here? He said, well, I'm doing some work with Hayden. And then she's like, well, go do the work with Hayden. That way. And then Fatima tells him to, quit bothering Andy. And Andy says, well, I'm not planning on really, dealing with the dating site. But, Fatima is on Andy's side. So she's just like standing there looking at Gary, making sure that he walks out the door before they start talking real business about the dating site. And so she tells her, in a way, she's agreeing with dumb Gary. She's like, girl, you got to be careful on the dating site, right? And then say, I have no intention of dating all those men that I, swiped right for. I'm going to play it as if I am. Now, I guess Fatima and Andy, especially Andy, have forgotten why they playing games with this nut. That he almost squeezed the life out of her with a hard hug. Child, I can't make this stuff up. It happened in former season. And they started talking about the paternity test. And Fatima's smart. Smarter than Andy. Andy is the lawyer. Anyway, she tells Andy that she doesn't think Zach is the father. And she says, Andy does. She had that conversation with Aaron previously. And then she said, I'm looking at this paperwork and she didn't even have Zach's DNA. How could he be ruled out? You know what? It's a possibility that the baby may not be either one of them. And then here go this recycled DNA. Only 2 men could have been the father. And then another possibility comes up. Who remembers if loving you was wrong? Remember, it was supposed to be only 2 men that could have been the father. I won't say her name was Andy too, but anyway, whatever the lady name was on If Loving You Was Wrong, her character. The man she was having an affair with in the shed. And then her husband. And we found out it wasn't the husband's baby. And then we found out later on that it wasn't the man she was having an affair with in the shed. Come on, Tyler. Don't do this. Don't rule out these 2 men that we've been thinking could be possibly the father to this baby. Don't do that. And then, but anyway, back to the show. Andy says that she really feels like that the baby is one of the 2 of them. And here come that question. Are you sure? Next. Danny meets with this guy named Tony at work, and she knows Tony, but she don't know Tony, but Tony knows her. And he says that he is in the parking lot with her, and she likes all the same music he likes. She booming with the booming sister, bumping with the booming sister. And then and so he's like, well, you know what? I know you like to smoke loud, really loud. And she says, so what? And he says, that's me in the van. And she said, that's your van. You like to listen to your music loud too and smoke. And he asked her out on a date. He said, just one date. Don't turn me down. And then she was like, I'm seeing somebody. He said, I know, Preston. He said, I'm not a stalker, I promise. She said, are you sure? There go that word again. And then he says, just one drink, I'll be at Juniper. And she said, have a nice time being by yourself. Danny calls. Danny calls Sabrina. And then she said, are y'all going to jail tonight? See, this character, Danny, is the audience. Get on down to the meat of stuff and stop going around in circles. At least wrap up one of these storylines, Tyler Perry. And then she said, well, is Maurice going to jail? She said, no. Are you going to jail? No, I'm innocent. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we meet at Karen's. And she's like, I really don't want to meet with crazy Karen. Anyway, for Tim, next thing. Timmy gets home and Zach is so worried about her because she comes home late. She said, no, I just had a pretty late case that I had to work on. And he said that he's lucky to have her because not many women will put up with what she's put up with. And he admits, just like on Zatima, that it's not them. It's not, everybody. It's everybody else in their circle that's messing up their relationship. And then he's like, well, you always, and she says, yes. And, taking everything in me not to be ass. And he said, well, why you always choose violence? He says, it's just in me. And then he says, well, I'm worried about my son. And she says, I understand. Do you want something to eat? And he says, I can't eat anything but thinking about my son. And she says, and she says, you know what? All I have to do is call Madam. She said, her cousin. And then he said, no more choosing violence. I can't eat if I'm thinking my son's not eating. Then she said, well, why don't we roll up? He said, no more violence, though. She said, I promise no violence. And she headed upstairs, and he said, she always chooses violence to himself. Then he hollers upstairs and said, leave that first. She said, now you're pushing it. Oh, that's hilarious. I lost my place. It's about the end of the doggone thing, and I have to hurry up because I got to go pick up one of my feral children. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that was, yeah. We are getting to the end of the show. Poor Sabrina. Now we over at Sabrina's house. And here comes Bio. He says, what's up, Bio? You know, he speaks to her and he like, she said, are you homophobic? And he says, we don't want to talk about that right now. And then he says, then Sabrina tells him that Maurice confessed. He said, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. I knew he was an evil person. And she says, no, he's not evil. He's just gay. And he said, with that lifestyle, he would not make it a month or a day in my country. And she said, why? Because he's gay. And he says, we don't want to talk about that. We're going to talk about other things. Do you want to go out to dinner? And she says, no. And then he says, well, you kind of owe me in a way, you know, his way of telling her that she owed him for him helping her out. He said, I picked up a lot of money for you. And she says, I know that and I appreciate that. Then he says, well, it was something like a contract. And she said, a contract? What do you mean? Sabrina's so naive. And she says, you want me to sleep with you? He says, of course. But I want you to be my wife as well. Your wife? Yes, in my country, when a man puts up a lot of money for a woman, that is a contract letting him know that you will be one of my wives. One of your wives? Yes, one of his wives. And she's like, on the next episode, it does come back, and she tells him that she's not going to marry him. Period. And he says, yeah, but she will because, you know, that's in his country. But him passing all that off as something that he can make her do, he cannot. And I am going to end here. Thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for viewing my videos. But we have to get the likes up and the subscriptions. This has been Country Conversation and really fun. Since this is my first review of Sisters, I'm going to chunk them up like I do when I end my videos. I'm going to say deuces again.